Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Good evening. This is Charles.
And I'm Latia.
And we are Marriage to Third Ring. So welcome. We're talking about marriage mentality today.
Yes.
So it's going to be a great topic. We're going to have a lot of fun. Join the conversation. If you are joining our live, go ahead and like it, love it, share it, and tag somebody and let them know that they can go ahead and come on in. And just so you know, we're not necessarily going to be preaching to you, telling you any sort of condemnation or anything like that. This is just a conversation that we're having. So you definitely want to go ahead and join in and join in the conversation. So we're going to have fun here today, okay?
Yes, we are no experts. We just want feedback. Now we are coming to you today. Now we are certified marriage coaches. We have been being marriage coaches for, I guess, about 3 years actual. So Marriage to Third Ring has been around since 2015,
yeah.
And we became marriage coaches, I believe, in 2018 is when we became marriage coaches. So we love our couples that have faith in us to help us with their marriages. Some people find us on Facebook. Some people find us by word of mouth, searching us on Google. So we enjoy our couples. We love it, and we thank all of you all who has ever entrusted me or Charles to share a word of marriage to you all. We know it's all by the grace of God that we're still married. We embark on 20 years this year.
Yes.
So it's by the grace of God, and so we love marriages. We love it. We know how hard it can be. We know how easy it can try to be to walk away, or how hard it can be to walk away. But we also know that fight that it takes in you to make it stay. And so that's why we try our best. We don't force anything on anybody, and we know it takes 2, 3 actually, because we're married to third ring. So you got to keep God in your marriage.
Definitely.
for it to work. So we're coming to you today with some of the information that we've learned from SYMBIS as we go through. These are some snippets of things that you go through when you're in the counseling with us. But we wanted to just make it a neutral conversation today and get y'all's feedback and everything. So hi everybody. Thank you all for joining us. And so Charles, we said marriage mentality.
Well, hold on. Before you go into SYMBIS, she mentioned SYMBIS, and like you said, we're coming out of our SYMBIS assessment, and this is an assessment we go through when we're actually doing our relationship and marriage coaching. SYMBIS is saving your marriage before it starts. There is actually a piece of it also as well that is about currently married couples. So this is definitely, it does work. Thank you, Latasha. Appreciate that. So this is definitely something not necessarily just for new couples, but for couples that either engaged or thinking about getting married, or we've been married for, like she said, almost 20 years. We went through the assessment initially when we were getting trained by Dr. Leslie
Perry.
Yeah. So we went through this assessment and we learned some things about ourselves. So we definitely want to go ahead and share and partake that information and wisdom that we gain to everyone else out there.
Yes.
So that's what SYMBIS is. But we're talking about, like she said, marriage mentality today. And your marriage mentality is all about your mindset, your thinking, how you're thinking about marriage, your future. It's even, how you even view yourself, your self-confidence, your self-worth. So there's a lot of different pieces here that we're going to discuss today. And again, if you have any of the questions, I am monitoring the chat. Go ahead and chime in. We'll go ahead and bring that discussion to light.
And you know what else, Charles?
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Shay. I see you tagging people, so thank you so much. We appreciate it. Because I just thought about it. Because when we're talking about different things like mindset, well-being, it's not just for the married couples. It's actually for the couples. It's actually for individuals as well. So y'all can share. I guess you don't have to be married to join in on this one, because it also helps you be. I always say, in order to have a great marriage, you have to be a great individual. So I guess I didn't even think about that as we were planning for tonight, because this is leading up to getting married, but also being married as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want everybody out there who's watching to tell us what do you think the mindset of your marriage is. Now, we're going to go more into that, but before we really tell you the different types of mindset, I just want you to start typing in, telling us, what is your marriage mindset? Okay, and then after we go through the types of marriage, then if you want to share, you can. Or if you think you might know what type of mindset your spouse has, if they're not on here, you can share. But these are just some things for you to think about, because we are leading up to our Damascus. So we're going to go live more often to keep the conversation going, because as we unfold some of this stuff, we're leading up to Damascus, and there it goes. It is our marriage conference that will take place on February 25th and 26th. January. No, it's February. That says January, honey. That's what I'm saying.
I got the wrong one.
So, it is February 25th and 26th. Here in Charlotte, North Carolina, we have some fun things going on. But in Damascus, we are teaching you how to be open and honest with your spouse. Why you might not be able to be open and honest with your spouse, but it is the different masks we wear in our relationship. So we're leading up, and we're going to keep the conversation going. So tell us, everybody, what do you think that your marriage mindset is? And Charles, go ahead and talk to us about marriage mindset.
We have different mindsets for your marriage. You have a resolute mindset.
Okay.
Just go over the definitions of each.
Well, we'll tell them the four.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all taking notes, but just in case.
Yeah,
we'll tell y'all the four, and then we'll go. But we're not gonna make it boring. But it's gonna be interesting.
This is definitely gonna be something you might want to take some notes on, because this is gonna be an interesting one. But you're resolute. You have your rational mindset. You can kind of tell what the kind of mindsets are as we're going through these. You have your romantic mindsets. You're restless, and your reluctant mindsets.
Okay, now go ahead and tell them. So let's talk about resolute for a minute.
So a resolute person is going to be someone who's purposeful, determined, and unwavering. So if their goal is marriage, they're going to do, and I've said this before on a few of our lives, and to some people we've talked to before, but their goal is to just straight up take divorce off of the table. If that's, if they're having some issues. But they're going to be definitely the type of person that's going to do whatever they need to do to make sure that, their house is happy and thriving and healthy. So if that means going to a counselor, that means, making time purposeful to spend time with their spouse, that's something that they're definitely going to do. Okay,
that sounds good. So honestly, when your mindset is resolute, and I guess you could even think of a definition of resolute, you're set. You know what you want. If you're in this marriage, you're going to make it work by any means necessary.
Right.
So, and that's how we would love marriages to be. Like, sometimes we want, but at the same time, we also got to be careful. We don't want you to stay in a relationship where there's some abuse or something like that. So that's where the resolute mindset can come into a problem, because they might, even if it is some abuse or something that they're dealing with in their marriage, they might not want to leave because they're still trying to keep it, keep the marriage together.
And for something like that, it's more or less like, not even just keeping the marriage together. Some people are just afraid of the unknown.
Right.
And that could be even staying together too, because it could be unknown and kind of things that you're going through together. Thank you, Johnny. We appreciate the like. And that's just something like, people could be scared of the unknown. Even with the marriage, I think we had this conversation before in the past, is the future can be scary. I mean, if you don't have any sort of faith, any sort of trust in each other, trust in God about what you're actually working towards. So definitely, with a resolute mindset person, you definitely going to have to hang in with them, because they have determination for the goal that they want to reach.
Yes. Let us know any questions as we're going along these mindsets. As I said, now, when we talk about the mindset and the type of person associated with the mindset, these are not definite. I do want to just give y'all just a little background, just so y'all know where we're coming from. That now these whole things, these whole mindsets and everything were done from studies. Dr. Les and Leslie Perry, they're two psychologists. They're actually married. But before they came up with SYMBIS and SYMBIS Plus, they did so much background on college campus with so many different types. And you can look into it. We can see your background. So these are not definite. And y'all know me. I believe God can make anybody compatible, make anybody think a certain way. So we just giving y'all a little feedback right now. So I'm going to tell y'all about the rational mindset. I guess I'm a little rational.
Yeah.
I can't remember what my SYMBIS test, y'all. I did it so long ago what it said. But the rational mindset, they guard their heart. They take a more practical approach to marriage than most. They view marriage as lifelong commitment with more caution than others because hey, when I get into this, I'm into this. So you view it with caution, you guard your heart, so you don't just let anybody just tell you anything, believe anything, because you know what you're getting into.
They're looking at things factually.
They are more, but they do like, I guess they do like romance. They do like some romance in their mindset. They do, but they do not buy into the mystical idea of finding their soulmate. They don't buy into that. They keep it straightforward and factual, and they view their potential partner as more, I guess, an endeavor, and they want to make sure they work on their marriage. So and they want to work towards it. So that's more of a rational mindset person. I was just looking, they always give us some little different things, just ages and stuff like that. Sometimes between ages of 18 and 30, they have that more rational mindset. And sometimes it's more women than men for the rational mindset. That's just a little tidbit of it. So, yes. Why you laugh?
You're talking about more women than men that are rational?
Yes.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's our rational. And just bear with us for a second as we lay the groundwork. Like I said, we're going to have a conversation about what these mindsets actually mean towards your marriage, all right?
And if you hear one that's y'all can tell us. It's okay. It's just us here. I mean, we are on Facebook. But just raise your hand. Like, we just want to give y'all some, because sometimes I know Charles is about to go into the next one, you might not understand where your partner is coming from. You might think one way, but your partner might think a totally different way. So you might not truly understand where your partner is coming from. So that's why it's important to know mindsets. When I tell y'all marriage can be work, and it's them love languages, you might need to know how your partner thinks and what their mindset is. So that's why it's so important that we are giving y'all some of these mindsets on today.
Exactly. So she went over the rational. Next, we're going to go talk about the romantic mindset.
Perry wants to know which one is ours. So while Charles is reading romantic, I'm going to look and see if I can pull up our old SYMBIS so I can find out.
I got it right here.
But don't be sharing it with the people. You going to share it with the people?
That's the whole thing. So... she was absolutely correct.
I was, yes.
Latia was the resolute.
I'm the resolute mindset, y'all.
And I was the romantic mindset.
He's the romantic mindset. Probably how when he tried to do a proposal for our vow renewal, and he tried to do it, and this is when he tried to. So we just had vow renewal.
No, I did it.
Obviously, the first time he proposed, he had to do it. He did it in the car because he said he knew if I did it in the restaurant, he thought I would embarrass him.
She would have.
Then when we did before the 18-year vow renewal, he tried to do it downtown in front of the Black Lives Matter mural, and it was people looking. And so he got out on his knees. I said, "Get up, get up!" But he is very. I hurt his feelings that day, y'all. I'm probably still paying for it. But he is very the romantic mindset, and I'm sitting here looking like, "Sir, get up off this ground." So.
Oh my God.
That's okay. But yes, so that's ours. Now, what's the next one? Romantic?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Let's tell them what the romantic mindset is.
So a romantic mindset, a romantic person is going to believe in the expressions of love. They're going to believe in a soulmate. In fact, they're actually twice as likely as the average person their age to say that there is only one perfect partner in the marriage for me, which is funny, hilarious, because we actually got engaged on September 11th, 2011. No, 2001. Sorry.
2001, yeah. Yes. When the Twin Towers.
So, a couple minutes after the Twin Towers went down. But I already knew that day that I wanted to propose to her. So, I didn't feel even matter of fact, I quoted a comment. I said, it doesn't take a whole day to recognize sunshine. Not too long before that.
I thought it was so corny, y'all.
Hey, no, that was... No. So I really believe that there's only one perfect person and a perfect match for me. So that to me, it was idealistic in the hope that it made sense for us to be together.
That was so sweet. Just like when he told me he loved me the first time I broke up with him. Only because, you guys, I was the more resolute person. Yeah. And I felt like we did not know each other that long.
But I already knew.
But he knew. And I felt like, but then he didn't want to be my friend. So that's how we ended up back together. Because he didn't want to be my friend because I broke up with him. But that was so long ago. That was over 20 years ago now. So look at us now. But that's what I tell you. So sometimes with these mindsets, we can't come together. I know, Tara. But these mindsets, we can't come together. And so yeah, so that's Jamarcus said, my kids. Your kids what? They you gotta tell us about your kids, Jamarcus. But yeah, so that is a romantic mindset. Let's see some little background romantic. They tend to they don't have much of a plan. Life just happens for them. They know what they want. They love that love happy ever after that. The women, they want that Prince Charming. So that is what a romantic mindset is. You love the idea of being married. And we actually had we had a counsel that was like that. And I think I had to just bring her down just a couple notches because I wanted her to see still the reality of once you get married, it's not that fairy tale of everything, but it's just they love the idea of being married. So that is that romantic mindset. So that can become a problem. It's so beautiful at the beginning and it's so amazing. You get those butterflies, but then you realize, okay, these butterflies are stabbing me a little bit. Go ahead, what you say?
No, I just fixed the flyer and actually put
he fixed the right flyer for Damascus if y'all looking. But you realize them butterflies are stabbing a little bit, so you have to learn how to work. Yes, they can be. So you have to learn how to work through them.
Okay, come on.
So what's the last? What's our last mindset, you guys?
It's two more.
Oh, it's two more?
Yes. The next one is Go ahead. The next one is restless. So a restless mindset is honestly just how it sounds. Is a person that's unable to rest or relax. So, you ever had someone that you not even necessarily were in a relationship with, but someone that could be in on a job, for instance. They're restless. They don't like to sit still. They're hopping from job to job. They don't have any stability in their life, and they're not looking at anything as not necessarily that it's serious, but they're not finding any fulfillment in it. There are people like that are married like that you just not finding any fulfillment in this relationship. So how do you deal with that kind of person?
That's a good question. Help us out, y'all. How do you deal with that kind of person? And the reason I like mindsets, and that's why we said we were getting into stuff, is because sometimes when things are going on, this restless person, they might be sleeping around. They might be doing different things.
But they might not be.
But I'm just giving an example.
I know. But they're giving off that air.
They're giving off the air because they're not happy. They're just, and you feel like as the spouse that you might be the one that's not making them happy. But guess what? It has nothing to do with you.
It's all about that mindset.
That individual and that mindset. But unfortunately, when we're in a marriage, of course, if our spouse is doing something, we're going to take ownership of that. If they're doing something, it might help our self-esteem, and then we're going to get into that well-being. It might hurt our pride. It might make us feel less than something, but it's not. It has nothing to do with you. I tell people all the time, infidelity, different things like that, has nothing to do with the other spouse. It is about that individual person being selfish and the mindset of that person. So so when we're talking about these mindsets, I want you to understand, because when you start seeing certain things, you're like, oh, that's why my spouse might be acting like that. Then it helps you know how to handle it.
And these are tools. These aren't like saying, like you can give somebody a hammer. If you don't teach them how to use the hammer, they're not going to use the tool correctly. But these are just tools that you can take back to use on your own individual relationships to kind of figure out and see what things are.
Yes. Just think, restless mindsets usually are not ready to settle down. Mm-hmm. So if you're a person out there, you're not married, and you have a restless mindset, you need to see why. See why that mindset is restless. See why you're feeling like you can't be you're not happy with certain things and you just have to bounce from relationship to relationship, because you got to be careful with this. I'm a nurse and I see a lot of older individuals, and I think when you hop from relationship to relationship, where's that foundation? I always said the person you laying next to won't wipe your behind. If you can't, then you don't need to lay next to them, because anything can happen. And when you hop from relationship to relationship, you're not building that foundation. So if you was to get sick, if you was to get a catheter placed in and you can't have sex or something, is your spouse going to be with you? If you don't know what a catheter is, just look it up.
So you were telling, that's interesting, because you were telling me a story about one couple you were, I guess the husband or something, and I guess they had something happened where he had a catheter, and they were just bitter.
It is, or you're always on the go, and you don't. I can tell couples that have had a nice, loving marriage, they don't mind taking care of one another, or those ones who was there just for the kids or just stayed, and now they stuck in the house together. Somebody got to take care of somebody else, and they're miserable. So that's why it's so important to have that right foundation and that strong foundation. That's why we push so much for you to understand your marriage, and for people to have tools to truly, truly, truly understand their spouse and know how to work through things. Because what happens when your back's against the wall? Mm-hmm. So that's why we push so hard for those tools.
So the last mindset, and we're going to talk about how these are towards your marriage, but the last mindset is a reluctant mindset. And this kind of person, they're unwilling to do anything. They're hesitant. Let me pull that up. So for this kind of person, they're not I guess they're considering themselves not the marrying kind. More than any other type of mindsets, reluctants are actually cynical about matrimony. So we know, people are like that in life, and that's fine. If they don't want to be married, they don't have to be. But there are some people that are actually just cynical, and they have a negative viewpoint on marriage. In fact, this is the only segment to lack a desire to wed, like I just said. Probably because their own homes were an example of how not to do it. And for the most part, a lot of people who are in this kind of mindset have seen some of the negative things that can happen in marriage, and not just in marriage, in any other kind of relationship. Yeah,
so we all know those couples that may be dating for 20 years, or they dated for 10, they were married for 2, and now they divorced. Mm-hmm. And that's because, for some reason, the reluctant mindset, they will cohabitate with you. They will live with you. They will have some kids with you. They do not want to marry you. So that is a reluctant mindset. So you need so these are it's a whole red flag thing. I don't know if they're still saying it in this year, but you need to be aware when you are in a long-term relationship, or I forgot what it's called, because you can stay with somebody and you be legal or something, partners, I don't know what it's called, but you don't ever have to get married, but you could be those partners. But the thing about it is, they'll stay with you, they'll have kids with you and everything, but they will never marry you. Think about this, they never marry you. Something happens, you just spent all your life with them, something happens to them, and you have no say-so in their medical treatment because they didn't want to marry you. So you have no say-so. They might pass away. You have no claims to anything from them, because guess what? They didn't want to marry you, but y'all spent y'all's whole life together, but y'all didn't want to be tied down with titles.
But that's why you got to learn who you are in a relationship with and who you're dealing with early on, because you don't want to have to get to the point to where, somebody's old and something's going on and you don't have any kind of ability to either reason with that person or work with that person legally or otherwise. Right. So you definitely got to know who you're dealing with and how you're going to deal with it.
Yes. So I want to know, and even if you're watching this later, I still want you to tell us what type of mindset you feel like you are. Or maybe talk to your spouse, and y'all can go back and look at it and see what type of mindsets. Now, when you actually, if anybody ever decides to actually go through our SYMBIS assessment, it gives you percentages and everything else. It talks about different things.
Yeah, we have about all the information to break all that down.
Yes, about your mindset. Go ahead, and where is our little, you can show our one little thing. I think, let me see if we can show it to y'all real quick.
Huh?
Let's go to, where's our SYMBIS? And let me tell y'all, we took this SYMBIS probably when we first started, so probably in 2018. We need to I want to redo it, like if things change.
I'm sure things change.
Because things change all the time. You grow and things are different. So I'm trying to see. We want to just see what it says. Let me see. Is that it right there?
This one.
I guess you could show that one. You can show that one. Yeah, that's a good one for marriage momentum. Can you share your screen? Oh, we're not on Zoom. We might not can share our screen, so we'll have to show y'all later. Oh, he said he can share it. So while he's getting that, let me see. I got any message. Oh, he said Jamarcus said we was his kids. He's so silly. I think we older, but but we're gonna show you just what it looks like, and then it's like, wow, this thing had us to a T. Even with our mindsets, because I think about it, my mindset, my resolute mindset. That's a little bit how I am a little through life, but the crazy thing is I'm crazy faith-based as well. So even though I see things how they are, I'm still crazy faith-based. So it's like, it's still differences amongst different things. Is that showing on the screen?
It will in a second.
He's showing it on the screen in a second. So we ain't get nobody to share their mindsets with us yet. So that's okay. Y'all can inbox us later, and y'all can tell us what the mindsets are. And so while he's doing that, we're gonna just talk about your well-being.
All right, there you go.
Okay, so that's how it shows. So SYMBIS, I don't know. It probably has about, I don't know how many pages. Probably like 20-something pages to SYMBIS. But so you see, it tells you your caution flags, different things. I'm the energizing spouse. He's the deliberating spouse. So they go down to different things as we go through. Next, we're going to talk a little about well-being, but we're not getting in. So it tells you what the well-being was at the time and different caution flags you might have. Now, just so y'all know, caution flags are everything. It's anxiety. It's depression. It is a whole lot of different things.
And just because you have a caution flag doesn't mean you're broken.
It does not mean you're broken. It means it's things that makes you aware and that you go through it's a whole list of different kind of caution flags you might have. And then sometimes it's good to know because you're able to take it back and think about where it might be coming from or resonating from. So yes, so that's that. And so now we're going to just tell you a little bit, anything before well-being?
Yeah, we're going to go over well-being. Okay.
Yeah. And so when you think about the mindsets, any questions on the mindsets, Charles?
I didn't see anybody having questions on here.
Oh, no. Perry said he thinks he's rational, but he was multitasking, so he might have missed some. That's fine. You could always go back and check it out later with the different points and stuff. So, yes. So, yeah.
Well-being. So well-being, and when you talk about just the word well-being, I mean, it kind of makes sense on what it actually is. It's your self-care, your self-being, how healthy you are. But this is talking about your individual and marriage well-being. So your self-concept, how you actually see yourself, your confidence in yourself, in your relationships with others.
Mm-hmm. It actually measures your psychological health. I'll give you the information in just a little period where you can go to take on our website. You go to our website, you can click on SYMBIS. So yes, we'll talk. But when you go to now one thing about it, that's a good question, Perry, about the assessment. So one thing about the assessment, because there is so much information when you get the SYMBIS assessment, you don't ever get your whole assessment. We will always get it first.
I mean, eventually, at the end of it,
you get the whole thing. But when you take the assessment, we have to get it first because we have to actually unpack it with you. That's why we had to do training to become coaches, because we actually have to go in and unpack it with you. So it's broken down. It's truly broken down a lot of different sections. So that's one thing that is about the test with the assessment for SYMBIS. So yes, but when we talk about well-being, so well-being is so important because it is about your mental health.
Your mental health, and that's something that people really don't take into account these days. I mean, we were talking about, who was it, the CEO of Marta Transportation in Atlanta, Georgia, stepped in front of a train and committed suicide. This man's got money. So money doesn't necessarily mean that you have a healthy mindset and nothing's wrong with you. That just means that you have better access maybe to some things. But
it's about not talking about it.
But if you're not talking about it, if you're not doing anything to actually take care of your mental state and getting help, I mean, it means nothing.
And that's why, so not to cut you off, Charles, but that's why I think I did a live the other day that so many times we invest in so many things, but not our marriage. We'll invest in, of course, we want a trip. Of course, we want to get our hair done, our nails done. You know, you need your self-care time, your girl time. But it's like when it comes to marriage, it's just supposed to work magically by itself. I said I do. I took them vows. Now that should be it. That's not how it works when you take a car off the lot. And that's not how it works with our mental health either. So the reason it's so important is because we don't do mental health checks.
We don't.
And then you don't do check-ins on your marriage. So me and Charles at one point, we felt like we had to sit down and have a whole staff meeting with just me and him on our marriage. We had a business meeting, a business meeting, pencil, paper, just sitting there writing things down about our marriage. The days we would check in, the check-in points about it, and when we would follow up to see if we were doing what we said. So that is why well-being is so important. First, your individual well-being, and then your well-being as a whole. And so for me, I'm very passionate about this because I tell everybody my mental health is the most important thing I have. Because I will tell you, you can't lose weight when your mental health is off. Your all your functions, your levels in your blood can get thrown off. Cholesterol, blood sugar numbers. If you're stressed, if you're under anxiety, if you have depression, when your mental health is off, your body is off. So that's the same thing. When your marriage well-being is off, your marriage is off.
Absolutely. Because you're talking about your individual health assessment. If, like she said, if you aren't healthy, then your marriage isn't healthy. If you're not mentally healthy, then yeah, you're going to affect everything that you're involved in. Exactly.
So I just told y'all why well-being matters, and Charles has responded with the information that it says. But it is a central principle of this exam because you can't build intimacy with another person before you know your own self and you became intimate with yourself to know who you are.
And a lot of people try to put the cart before the horse just because it feels good. Just because it feels good to be in a relationship for, to have that intimacy and intimate moments with someone else before you get, but it's work. It takes work to get your mental state in a healthy position. But if you're not healthy, if you're not mentally healthy and you get in a relationship with someone just because it feels good, then you're setting both of yourselves up for some trouble.
You are. And so that's what we don't want. So that's why we will talk to you about your mental health and how you see yourself. So the first one is self-concept. What you want to say about self-concept?
So self-concept, again, I was talking about this before, but how do you see yourself, your level of confidence and your level of positive self-esteem? Self-concept embodies the answer to who am I and what do I do and who am I? What do I like about me? It's often thought of as the gap between one's ideal self and real self. So there's a difference between where you are and where you want to be.
Okay, and so this is the funny thing. It takes me back to Damascus. That is why we're doing Damascus. And I didn't even, it clicked on me while he was talking because, we have been through this test tons of times and talked to different couples about it. But that is why Damascus comes up. Because who am I? Who do my partners see me as? And do they see me as who I really am? Do I share my goals with them? Do I let them know my desires and my future? So this is where it comes. Can you do it? And do you feel comfortable with doing it? Your partner might, if you're a female, your spouse might want you to stay home, raise kids, be a stay-at-home mom. That's not what you want, though. And you feel like you're losing yourself. And so you need to go ahead and tell, but can you tell your partner without them feeling like, oh, I'm a bad mom because I don't want to stay home with these kids all day long, or I'm a bad, or this is, I'm a bad wife because I'm not doing what my husband wants me to do. If you're a husband, you actually might want to go back to school and you might feel like you want to take a little break on your job, but your wife might feel like, no, it's your job to work and earn the money. So do you feel comfortable letting them know, I just want to go to school. I really need this degree is what I really want. You don't know how to tell them, and how can you? So who are you? Or are you living your ideal self to yourself, or just with other people? Are you living up to other people's expectations of you? And when you do that, that is when your well-being becomes compromised, because you are living up to other people.
You're living for others' expectations
and not your own. Yes. Sorry, y'all. I told y'all this is my passion.
But to that point, though, you mentioned it. But this is the same reason too why Making Good and what's her.
Devon Franklin, but we don't know for sure.
Well, no, that's what they said. Honestly, that's what they said, that he wanted to have kids. She didn't want to have kids, so the relationship fell into dissolution.
We're not sure, y'all.
I don't know. I'm just saying. But to that point, you got to know these kinds of things before you get married, though.
You do got to know. But no, none of us is in these things. But even with that, I heard about, just one of the interviews was about compromising. And it was just, and I listen when people, because for some reason divorce has been going rampant through Hollywood, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna try this out for a few years, but it's not gonna be what I'm on.
But again, like I said before, people are getting into relationships for the pleasure of it, not necessarily fixing their own mental state. And we've seen some Hollywood, news stories. There's a bunch of crazy people out there. That's what I'm saying.
It's a lot. But even as we talk about this, let's talk about compromise. And we'll, and I know this isn't the conference, but even when you're talking about compromising yourself, how is that affecting the well-being of people? And y'all can give us feedback, because I feel like when you compromise your I think even with Devon Franklin was saying, because he was a pastor before they got together, and he was saying that he compromised her he didn't want an actress, he didn't want nobody that smoked, and he didn't want, and she was drinking. He didn't want those, but he compromised on all those and scratched them off and went on ahead and got with her. She compromised. She had to be celibate. She had to be a mainline Christian, I guess she was saying, because she wanted to be a free spirit. And so these are things she had to compromise, and these were things that they didn't want to compromise. So when you start compromising things that changes who you are, that starts affecting your well-being.
So you're talking about, hey, okay, Perry, we'll see you there.
Yep.
Definitely.
So they're gonna be at the conferences joining them.
Man, Perry, that's what I thought. But no, when you talk about not that. I messed up. Hold on, he got threw me off. No, but when you talk about compromising who you are, I go back to what is that movie that had the core memories? The core
Inside Out?
Inside Out, yeah, Inside Out. The movie Inside Out. So when you compromise, when you forget those core memories, you actually lose a part of yourself. And it's like compromising what makes part of you lose a part of yourself in that relationship. So I guess one of the main things you need to figure out when you're getting into a relationship is what makes you. What makes Charles? What core values, what core things about me that I am unwilling to compromise just to be in a relationship? Does she know what my core values are? Do they align? A lot of people don't really think about these things. They jump into the relationship just, again, for the feeling of it. But there's a whole lot of different things when you go into a relationship that you have to consider is your core values, your core memories, and then how those correlate and how those mesh in the relationship.
Yes, y'all. We use Inside Out. We like Disney.
I like that movie.
Our pastor was preaching the other day, and it made me think of Encanto. You find different messages in some of these shows. But just so you know, an unhealthy self-concept has been found to be. An unhealthy self-concept has been found to be a factor in nearly every aspect of poor mental health and poor relationships. Just think, you guys, you are the core. So when you get into, never let who you are with change who you are. Like, I have been with Charles 20 years. Now, not saying we have not grown. I'm not crazy, go off on everybody, Tia.
Oh, God.
Charles had helped me calm down A little.
She said these speeches she would give everyone.
He used to help me calm down a little. Now I only use it for good. But Charles used to be so quiet. Now it's like, he's not that quiet. So I don't always get my way anymore. I have to listen. And like I told somebody one day, no, when it's time for me to be quiet, if anybody can make me be quiet, it's Mr. Hampton. So it's like, we learn, but I was that independent woman. I had to grow up fast. So I grew up very independent. I was raised by an independent mom. So I grew up very independent, very strong-minded, very strong-willed, and wanted to do every single thing myself. I was not asking nobody for help because I can do it. Boy, did I learn. You know what? I am married. I did not have to take all of that on all this. Now, one time I did give him the electric bill and it got cut off, but he learned after that and never got cut off again. So,
dang, twice.
But sometimes we go ahead and have to allow them to take on certain things and can't complain. He was cooking dinner. I said, I need you to cook the other day. He was cooking. I didn't think I wanted what he was cooking, but if I wanted him to cook, guess what? I can't complain about it. I had to just, hey, whatever you cook, sir, I'm going to eat. It might not be what I would cook. It might not be the way I would do it. Even if it's not the way I would do it, oh, well. Hush up and let him do what he's doing. And so it's like, it's things we need to learn. So you do learn from one another, but you just never, I am still Latia Jenkins, even though I am Latia Hampton now, Charles didn't try to change who I was.
No, but I think when you are in a relationship, it's not necessarily compromise, but you have to step up to a level that you think that the other person is worthy of.
Okay.
So it's not like, I used to cuss like crazy before I got with her, but it was something about her that I couldn't do it around her. So Barry said I cooked better than this. So, but it was something about her that I felt like I had to be better for her to be able to be with her. So, but it wasn't necessarily changing me or her changing me. I decided to change myself to make me feel worthy to be with her.
Yes. And then also, now you do compromise in marriage. So don't get it wrong. You will not, but when
marriage is all about.
Yeah, and so, because I know I said don't let them change and stuff like that but you do compromise. But, and my uncle gave me permission to use this when we were talking the other day, but it was about you should have some non-negotiables. And those non-negotiables, now, your partner need to know what those are, and you're not going to violate those. But there is times when, no, I do not want to go out and do this, but you're going because your spouse wants you to go. I might not want to do it, but I'm doing it because my spouse. So there are times you will compromise in marriage. So I want to make sure I clarify that as well.
So we're gonna get back to this.
We talked about that. Was really covering that.
Oh, okay.
As y'all know, I'm not that streamlined person. I'm gonna give it to you, but I'm gonna give it to you in the way that I feel like it's gonna suit. So I know my husband likes the outlines, and so we and that's how we operate. We do it. We do both ways. So go ahead, sir.
Okay. So. The other part of that is empathy.
Okay.
We kind of touched on that a little bit, but so empathy is your capacity to see the world from your partner's worldview, your worldview. So so she mentioned compromise. So basically, that what empathy and compromise kind of go hand in hand, because if I'm compromising for you, then I have to be able to step back and look at what you're looking at to see how does this work better for the marriage? How does this work better for us? And then sometimes you just got to pick the hill that you want to die on. I know.
What's that mean?
Okay. So picking the hill. So I know. Ted doesn't do the dishes, but I have the kids do the. I'm sorry.
Talk about throwing people under a bus.
She did it. She don't do the dishes, so I'm not going to see her.
Or the bathrooms.
But I'm not going to see her and be like, hey, I need you to do this when I know this is not something, like, why would I have that battle? Why would I have that fight and that conversation when I know this is just not something. This is why we got 4 boys. They help. The boys help clean up around the house, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you gotta pick your battles and know kind of what you're getting into before you start having that conversation.
Was that a World of Warcraft like thing or a video game type
scenario?
You said pick the hill you want to die on.
No, that's
but you said pick your battles.
That's basically what it is.
I'm trying to figure it out, y'all. I was trying to figure out where that scenario. I don't know. I mean, I say some older things.
No, that's Perry know what it means.
But like for instance, okay, so right now we are in consecration with church. So last week it was a rough week for me because I am a caffeine person. I realized there is a big addiction, Jesus, that I'm going to work on, okay, y'all? And that's the caffeine because I couldn't have it.
Yeah.
He had empathy for me when I had my headaches. But he didn't have a headache. I was a little mad at him because he didn't have one, but he had empathy for me because I had a caffeine withdrawal. So when you have empathy, you might not truly understand.
Barry said it's called a metaphor. Thank you, Barry.
I know what the hill. Why I want down the hill, but he didn't quite. So even when you don't understand what your spouse might be going through, I'm a nurse. Charles works in IT. Or I'll get, and so he might not understand how I might be having a hard day with working. And I think he sits on a computer all day, so I don't see how that's hard. But he does have hard times at his job. So now I'm noticing that, so now I'm like, oh, what's going on? And I'm seeing that he is having hard times at his job. But we don't do what each other do, but we can still have empathy when each other is going through something.
Yeah, so like I said, it's just about seeing the world through your partner's eyes and understanding what they're going through and making sure that you're actually present and trying to help find a solution for some of the things that you're going through.
Yes. So that is why it's important to have empathy. So this is why I hope you all got tonight, when we talked about your mindset, your well-being, knowing who you are and being healthy as an individual. I think the first thing we want to leave y'all with is I want you to figure that out. Not even a plug here, but some people got my book, Becoming Unapologetically You. But that was based on knowing who you are as an individual. And I have been married for 20 years, but it's still knowing who Tia is. I have been a mother. I'm a mother of 4 kids. My oldest is about to be 19. So it's knowing who you are as an individual, not trying to make everybody your first priority. Not somebody messaged me and said I had them getting their whole life together before they went to work. And that was a blessing because my goal was to bless somebody. But that's why that book came out, and I don't profess to be nobody's preacher, nobody's minister, no life coach. It's just I give you what I'm giving, what God gives me. And so that's where that book was birthed from, just knowing who you are. And so, so that's why it's so important. Guys, you can read it too. I know it's Becoming Unapologetically You, and I say it's a journal for women, but gentlemen, you can read it too. And it's okay to know who you are. So, you know what I'm saying? So just take some time and find out who you are, and then it helps you be a better person for your spouse. Also, don't take it so personal. When your spouse is doing something that you don't understand, try to talk about it. So that's another key point. Talk about when your spouse is doing something, you feel like they're acting a certain type of way you don't understand, have open communication, okay?
And sometimes having open communication when there's nothing in your head, it's kind of hard. Like, I would just see you sit here minding my business, and sometimes she'll come up and like, what's on your mind? What are you thinking? Absolutely nothing. I'm just sitting here completely... Shay said that good. We got it together. But no, sometimes you're just sitting there chilling, doing nothing. You got nothing in your mind. She doesn't understand that because that's not her mindset. But we got to meet somewhere in the middle, I guess.
And let me tell y'all, 20 years later, we still working on it. Because if you look like you got something on your mind, I'm going to try to make you, I do the same thing to the children. I want you to talk about it. Because I feel like if you keep it in, you harboring. I have friends that will shut down when they're going through. I think I have tried to train them all. No, you got to open up. You got to talk, because I feel like when God can't heal what's not revealed. So I feel like you got to talk about it. So if it's something that is going on, it can be healed. And so that's why I feel like it's so important to put it into the atmosphere, whatever might be going on.
This is her book.
Yeah, that one. We was on Marriage
I know. You mentioned it, so I wanted to put it up. So this is her book. The book is available on Amazon.com. Just look for Latia Hampton, Becoming Unapologetically You, designed by yourself truly, of course. I just want to throw that out there.
Yes, it was designed by Mr. Hampton, And so, yes, and we have to learn each other's mindsets when we were working together as well, but that's another conversation. But yeah, so that's what we wanted to cover tonight, just as we go into Damascus. And nope, this ain't even what we're talking about in Damascus. But as we go into Damascus, we wanted to just start talking about different things. It's January. We're starting off a new year. How about having a new year, finding out who you are a little bit? Now, finding out who you are does not mean you have to leave your spouse. Because I just seen that somebody else talk about they wanted to separate and divorce so they can go and be who they are. No, find out who you are does not mean you need to leave them. You should have figured that out before y'all got together. So now y'all got to work that out together. While y'all are in that marriage, y'all need to work together on finding out who each other are. Who each other, is that right?
Who each other is.
That don't sound right either.
Yes.
Finding out about each other.
Who we are, yeah.
And then who you are individually, and share it with your spouse once you find out, especially if there's some new dreams that you have came up with.
And we do that all the time. I mean, we're very business-minded over here because we got a couple that are going. But every day it seems like something new that we could do, some new explanation, some new venture, or something that we can get into. But you definitely have to share your goals, share your aspirations, and see how they can actually work together. Not only benefit for you financially, but how they benefit the marriage and how you can actually work together. Speaking of that, that's going to be one of the points that we're going to have in Damascus.
Oh, it's a breakout session for couples in business.
Yes, we're going to be. There's a couples in business session that we're going to have. So if getting in business with your spouse or significant other is something that you're thinking about doing, you're currently doing, and you want to get better at it, definitely make sure that you are present in Damascus conference. The flyer is up on the screen over there. Definitely make sure that you're present and get signed up for that. That's going to be a blessing to you.
We also have blended family. Since we're talking, we have blended family. Everybody will not go to blended family. We are not teaching blended family because guess what? We're not a blended family. But it is something that is very much needed. So blended family will also be a breakout session that's being offered. And then we also have another couple that's going to teach you some financial things, just some tips and some different tips. So when I tell you, we said that I got excited because we sat down and went through everything. Y'all really got excited when I was talking to the caterers because Friday night we got food, and then we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner being catered all on Saturday. So I really got excited when I was talking to the caterers. And so yes, and then when we went through our whole agenda. And when I tell you that I got excited over just the topics and the different things that we were going to be able to bring to you, it made me very happy because I'm interested too. And if you come, and I had to tell somebody this, that does not mean you have to talk. Now, trust me, I like interaction, so it will be time. If you want to talk, you can talk. So I know Perry said he's going to be there. Perry likes to talk. So Perry, but
they related.
You don't have to. He's my brother. But you do not have to talk. You can just come and be fed. Be poured into, fed naturally, fed, emotionally, spiritually, all that stuff. You can just become and just get poured into, even if you don't even know the state of your marriage. It's okay. Your marriage could be from 0 to 10. And I don't even know what 0 would be. It could be y'all in separate houses already and stuff like that. Or it could be the best marriage in the world. And when I tell you ain't nobody's marriage always 10, it's not. But if you feel like yours is, that does not matter. Come and help us out. Help everybody else out. So your marriage, this event is for everybody.
Yeah, she said it before, but just because you come to a marriage seminar does not mean that there's something wrong with your marriage.
Shay said Perry got all the questions.
Yeah, he did. But it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your marriage. So don't feel ashamed if you're sharing this event, you're sharing this flyer with anybody. Just let them know just because we're asking you to come doesn't mean that we think there's something wrong with your marriage. No, it's just an event that where you can come and get tools. Like I said before, you can give somebody a hammer. If they don't know how to use it, it's kind of a paperweight.
Give me a hammer if you want to. I don't know where we'll hit.
I don't like my fingers. No, thank you.
He won't even take me to the gun range. He doesn't think I'm going to know how to use the gun. But if he trains me, then I can know how to use it, and I will make sure I shoot the right target.
Yeah, no. That thing will be on the ground. No, thank you.
But yes, I thank y'all tonight. We stayed on for a little while tonight. I didn't even rush y'all. We just wanted to give you some information. We did an hour.
Did we do about why well-being matters?
Yes, we did.
All right.
And so
off my little notebook.
Oh, he was on his notebook. But yes, he said, why is well-being matters? Because that's the core. So that is why the well-being of your marriage and your well-being matters. Because if you're not good, ain't nobody else gonna be good. So you have to. That's when you got so many ups and downs and all that. That's why it's so important to have a healthy marriage. And I'm gonna tell you, health, that does not mean you will not go through things because your marriage is healthy. That just knows that just because your body is healthy doesn't mean you don't get an ache or pain. Doesn't mean your stomach might not get upset or something like that. So just because you might have a healthy marriage does not mean you won't ever go through nothing.
This is just a setup for if you do, or if and when you do go through something, that you have the proper tools to get yourself out of it.
Like, once your foundation is stable, then the house shouldn't crumble.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Any other questions, Charles?
No, I think we good to go.
Okay. I don't think we have no questions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for attending. And again, I'm going to throw the Damascus flyer up there one more again. So see us there. If you are interested, the website is going to be listed below. I have that on the flyer as well. You can see that on the Marriage to Third Ring page or any one of our pages. Our information for Damascus is there, and we will see you there.
We're going to see you there.
All right.
We have a few more slots for some couples. So it's a few more because we're still keeping it intimate. We know we are still in the middle of a pandemic, but it's okay because we're going to stay safe and stay healthy. So,
and yes, we got a lot of good goodies for y'all too.
We do. We got some goodies. I'll be excited, y'all. And so, just because I love to share, and I told somebody else, we go to marriage events just because we like to hear what the other people have to say. That's how we learned about Dr. Les and Leslie Pear. Our first thing we went with them was how to fight fair. Yeah. And that was a great seminar that they did to about 300 people or so. It was a lot of people up in that building. So it was good. So it's just great tools.
And there we go.
I'm good. I'm done. Thank you all. Y'all
have a great one. We'll see you guys later.
A happy MLK Day. It's Martin Luther King Day. Sure. Yes. And thank you for joining us on your MLK holiday. We know that we celebrate Black History all the time, all year long.
FaithFits.com, FaithFitsU.com. Get your Black History shirts.
We do have Black History shirts on there, yes. And I got to order mine. But yes, we know we celebrate Black History all year long, and we always love our Black leaders. So, yes.
All right, Sister Bobby, thank you. You have a blessed weekend, too. We appreciate you. And no, period, it will not. Bring your own if you want. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye. Bye. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.